It's time for your Talk Time Live exclusive.
You are now about to witness the strength of geek knowledge.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming all the way from up the street from me, it's a man whose music you hear every single episode on Talk Time Live Prime, as well as the Select Start Gaming podcast. He has performed all over the country. He was mentioned by the likes of WWE's XAVIER Woods and AKA Austin Creed, soon to be in G4, as the DJ producer that you need to check out. He is the founder and final boss of Gamechops. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome for Philly's own DJ CUTMAN, finally on Talk Time Live. What's going on, man?
I made it. I know. Thanks. And we're coming from such a distance. What is it? Like 2 or 3 blocks, right?
Right. Like just a nice little walk up the street.
Yeah, exactly.
Damn you, COVID.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
No, awesome. It's funny too because I've interviewed you. You're like literally one of my first interviews.
Oh, really?
Ever. Yeah, because, I mean, we've known each other for 5 years. And, you know, I met you at your release album party for Meow Meow Bow Wow.
Yes, that's right. Which was right?
Blew me away. Blew me, not only just your performance, but the ambiance around it and the people that were following it. And I'm going to talk a little bit further on that, but I was just so amazed. And we just kept, you know, bumping into each other on the way up. You were there when I was nominated for the Philly Geek Award.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that was an awesome time.
And then I see you at Keystone Comic-Con with your wife. And by the way, congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Yes, yeah, I finally got married. Yeah, that was, she's been with me, Maddie's been with me since like the very first out-of-state DJ CUTMAN gig. So my very first gig, I was living in Ithaca, upstate New York for the dawn of CUTMAN. And I got this offer to come and play a festival called Artscape down in Baltimore. It was like 350 mile drive. And I had not driven like more than 5 miles to a show. I had just played like in downtown Ithaca. Yeah. And I mentioned it to Maddie, who was my girlfriend at the time, like, hey, I got this offer in Baltimore, but it's really far away. I don't know. And she was like, oh, I'd come. Like, I'd share the drive. So I was like, oh yeah, sure. So like, dude, I just owe so much to that lady for not just bearing with me and my weird creative whatevers, but supporting me throughout the whole DJ CUTMAN project. And just
trust me, you know that I know that, you know, our wives are the pivotal parts of our journeys.
Yeah, we both got science wives, man. Lucky us. And look, and we're doing it so good too.
Absolutely agreed. So, I mean, let's get real for 1 second.
Sure.
You know, we can't be, I would be remiss if we didn't talk about all of this. I've talked about this with every guest I've had since this started. How have you been in terms of COVID and the coronavirus era of 2020?
Well, you know, as you know, Philly is not the chillest place to be with this going on, but I feel like our neighborhood in particular is handling it pretty well. Like
University City has been awesome.
Most people have masks on. I don't feel like I'm dodging a lot of Ronas like I kind of was in the spring.
Yeah.
So most people are in line. The grocery stores are on point. Yeah. And that's a relief. But man, when this first started and I had to wait online outside the grocery store for an hour to like go into a grocery store and I didn't even know if there was any food in there. That was really scary. That was really like the toilet paper shortage. People talking about hoarding toilet paper and stuff, and like we never got to a place that I was aware of where the city ran out of toilet paper, but that fear, that weird first world problem of we might run out of
that uncertainty
paper, but then combined with the real problem of like having to wait for food in the modern world, like it was a lot. And I stopped writing music for many months. Like I stopped being able to really have total creative output because of just the stress and the just trying to keep everything together. And you know, and my mom had been sick and she passed just this October, and having that kind of happening the whole time we're in lockdown, we actually I'm really grateful, thanks to my wife actually encouraging me to go down and visit her maybe a month before she passed or 6 weeks before she passed, despite the lockdowns, despite the fact that we were like mapping out our route, being like, our gas stations and rest stops going to be closed, and like many of them were. So like, where are we going to go? How are we going to get there? But yeah, man, I mean, all in all, this year has been crazy, like total messed up, 100,000 things going wrong all over the place. Like not just COVID, but just like in general, the energy has been chaos.
Yeah.
But now that we're nearing the end of it, we're now in December, things have shaken out pretty well. I mean, you know, my mom has passed, and it's heartbreaking, but in a way there's relief there because she's like not in pain any longer.
Yeah.
And me and my sister know that, you know, she's in a better place now because most of these past few years, she's not really in a good place. So So there's that. And then also the fact that, like, by some grace of God, over the past few months, I would say like August on, really when everything was like looking worse than ever, I managed to really pull my act together and get out of a lot of really important, really good video game albums. I'm talking about Chill Tendo, Super Lo-Fi World 2, Zelda and Chill 2. Yeah. There was just some really good music that came out this fall that was like, I wasn't writing it. You know, I'm not the producer on those albums. I was just a mastering engineer and like executive producer, like helping the artists with whatever they needed, you know, that kind of stuff.
Right.
But those albums turned out so good, like despite the pain that was going on, despite the hardship, and that was all over the world. You know, Helliant, who did Super Lo-Fi World 1 and 2, he's based in Italy, that got hit with COVID super bad. And it was like, he was in a point where like their hospitals were maxed out for like, I don't know what it was, like a month or over.
Right.
And as an American, I'm not trying to ever go to the hospital, but knowing that you couldn't even go because there's no free beds, like that's really crazy. Yeah. And so he produced that album during all that, and I was able to master it and put it together. And I listened back to the Gamechops catalog, particularly from this fall. Yeah. And it's so good, man. So many good songs. And like, I don't feel like I had to make sacrifices on any of it. I really feel like it really came out its best. And, you know, Joe Coby, who did Zelda, who did Chill Tendo, was just a delight to work with. He's actually the brother of Michael, who did the Zelda and Chill albums. Yeah. So I'm working with these two brothers on these two like lo-fi concept albums. And then Helliant, Super Lo-Fi World, he's been my collaborator for many years, and he's just a dream to work with. Just like super great guitar player, great arranger, but also just like super positive, super productive kind of attitude, and a really, really just a nice person to talk to. Like I can say like, hey man, I didn't get to it this week, and he's never once responded like negatively to me explaining life. And sometimes, man, when you talk about life, like it's hard to not get like those strong feelings. So I really appreciate an artist who's like going to bear with me. And that gives me more incentive to like, when I do have time to really work on their stuff, to make sure it's 100%. Yeah. And that's what I feel like really, really happened this year. So I'm really grateful with how all the music shook out and how so many people are out there listening and enjoying it. And
there's a chain to that too, because your music, you know, Mega's music, and I'm talking about Mega Ran's music as well, and K Murder, all of y'all helped me get through this whole COVID thing.
People have been mentioning that like in my comments and on Twitter. Yeah. And now that the Spotify year-end thing is, people are just been like, you got me through lockdown. And I'm just like, I just feel so blessed that my like creative work, like the thing I kind of feel like I'm put on earth to do is like make these game music beats and stuff. It's really not just like, a gig, whatever. It's like really adding value and like helping people, you know, with their lives. It's helping me with my life. Like I listened to Zelda and Chill 2 like 50 times since it came out. And usually by the time the album comes out, I've like had enough of it. So, but
what was it that brought you back into the passion and energy to do music again when you were going through those emotional situations in your life? It's because, you know, as an artist, I've had my trial and tribulations too, and much like you and your sister, we lost our mom you know, way back when I was 20, just when I was getting into college. So like, trust me, I empathize with you on that, and thoughts and prayers to you and our entire family on that.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
What was like, what brought you back? What brought that energy back?
Dude, to be honest, like that was the productive working on music energy is the one part of me that really didn't leave. Yeah. Like I was
the one last thing you had left, you felt?
It was like, it's not that, what did it bring me back to doing it? It was like, that is what kept me going through all this. The relationships with the artists, you know, Michael, Jokabi, Helliant, just those three guys with those three albums I mentioned. Yeah. They're all just great, excellent people to be working with. And I'm just so grateful to be working with not just talented folks, but also just like folks that I feel are like real humans and treat me like a real human, you know? And, so I was thinking, you know, beyond anything, I pushed all I was going to do DJ CUTMAN Volume 5 was going to come out this summer. It didn't. And now it's looking like it might come out soon. Actually, I'm getting really close. But I canceled all my own stuff because I didn't have the gas in the tank for it. But with a little bit of fumes I was running off of, you know, when my mom's stuff hit, I was like working on stuff for the people I knew deserved it. The people I knew who would appreciate it. And I was like, I can't even do stuff for me right now, but I know I can do stuff for Helliant. He's awesome. I know I can do this for Michael. You know, Zelda and Chill 2 is worth me just pounding coffee and forcing myself in front of the thing and doing the work, because once I'm doing the work, it doesn't even feel like work at all. It's this music, like it's just, the music is so good and so close to my heart that even when I didn't have the gas in the tank to take care of myself, I was able to still make some small moves on the album such that we didn't even have to delay any of them. And Zelda and Chill 2, oh my gosh, we were so close to having to delay it. It did not get cleared until like 72 hours before it came out. And we shipped 6 weeks in advance. We were being super like on point. 6 weeks in advance. We have our pitch already written. And then something happens on our distributor side to like slow up the cover song licensing, which usually happens in like a week. But it took 5.5 weeks.
Did COVID have anything to do with that, the delays?
I'm sure it did. Yeah, I like you email them and try to get an answer, and like, you don't really get an answer, but they're like, we're working on it. And then it's like Wednesday. The album's going to come out on Friday. And I woke up. I didn't even sleep that night, actually. I just like laid in bed and like sweat until like 7 a.m. and get out of bed and be like, if it's not clear today, like, I don't know what I'm going to do, because if it's not on Spotify before it comes out, I can't like prep or anything. It's going to be total chaos.
Right.
I'm going to miss so many people. And that morning I opened up my computer and I reloaded the DistroKid dashboard, and it was green, and I was just like, oh my gosh, it's like another miracle. Another miracle this year. So it was crazy, but like, that's the kind of stuff that's been happening all year. And I'm sure it's COVID, but it's just like, the chaos is not just like, don't go outside without a mask, you don't go to the gym and work out next to some guy breathing heavy. It's not just that, it's that the entire like system is gotten all screwed
crashing
up,
completely. So for me, it was just like, am I safe to come outside without anything really crazy happening involving certain authorities?
Yes. Oh my God. In Philly too. I like it.
And you think that for quite some time, Philly felt like it was derived from all of that. And then the Walter Wallace, situation happened, which is like literally like 10 minutes away from us.
Oh yeah.
And it was right around, Halloween. And I was just like, I was done.
Yeah.
I was about done at the time. And thank goodness for this election. At least.
Dude, I know. And like, Philly brought it home. Philly kind of was the city that like saved the world. And
we were the Avengers.
Yeah, we were. Yeah.
I kept telling people in the A.C.M.G group, like, this is our end game. We need to be for real about it.
Yes.
Take all this fantasy stuff out of the way. This is our real deal. If we don't do it now, it's done.
Yeah, I'm really happy. And but yeah, dude, the helicopters during when the National Guard or whatever came in, that's on 50th Street. It's like, we could hear it, and we were smelling tear gas in the apartment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, man, it was. I mean, that's my fault for leaving all the windows open when there's tear gas being.
Maybe that's why I didn't smell it.
Yeah, I'm new to it.
Always closed.
And like, you're on a low floor in the building, right?
I'm in the first floor. Yeah.
Yeah, we're on the top floor, so like helicopters hovering overhead all night is just like all night.
No, copters. I heard it was crazy.
Dude, if I'm ever doing like hard music again, like back when I was doing dubstep in 2012, I gotta sample some sound of a helicopter coming through the ceiling of your apartment, because that's like about the most stressful sound I've ever heard. At first you're like, oh, a helicopter, cool, but then after it's been going for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour,
day after day, night after night.
Yeah, dude.
But you realize how quiet it was after
the election? Yes, yeah, exactly.
It is so quiet. I hear like a siren every once in a blue moon, but it's like an ambulance or something like that. It's night and day. It's just insane. But I digress. You talk about what I call the chill series of albums that your crew has been coming out with. What led on to this series? Because it's a whole different mellow and theme that you guys have come out with.
We were doing dance music. Gamechops really like became a label in 2012. Yeah. I started it as a mixtape in 2010,
which I think was around the time I first
those very first shows. Yeah, it was it was the first studio DJ Cutman album. Was called Gamechops. And then in 2012 was when we did Triforce of Bass, and that popped off, and we actually started licensing stuff. Before we were just like doing OC remix, kind of like free remixes here and there. But 2012 is when it became a label, when I started like working with the cash flow, getting artists paid for their music, paying licenses so we could sell it, all that kind of stuff. And we did dance music because I was touring as a DJ, and I felt like this is what we needed as a nerd scene is we needed good video game dance music. And I wanted to hear that when I was at events, and I wanted to listen to that when I was gaming or whatever. Keep in mind, you know, back in that era, it was like a very different era, and like hard pounding, intense, fierce music was awesome because the world wasn't quite like that just yet. And so what happened, I think, in like 2016, 2017, 2018, when the last president came in and things got gross leading up to the election and things stayed gross, I think people, the hive mind or the collective consciousness, like needed to chill out because life had gotten so intense. The news became like a dubstep song, you know?
Yeah,
So,
it really has.
So I found myself listening to like chill beats, and I had been mixing rap beats with video game music since the very first DJ CUTMAN album. Like that was basically the foundational thing was, for me, I was thinking of like video game hip hop instrumentals. That's like the block I had in my head. Yeah. And it was only like maybe 2 or 3 years ago when I realized lo-fi hip hop or just lo-fi beats like was essentially that. It was like more chilled out than the kind of music that I was instinctively producing. But it was like the foundational elements, which was like boom bap beat and a nice video game tune, like framed up together. It was basically that. So I was in a rare opportunity, only time in my life, where the kind of music that I make naturally was popular. I was just like so stoked because like dude, I've been making beats with video game music for my whole life, and it finally became something that people wanted to hear. I don't make dubstep. Like I made a couple dubstep songs.
It's been a while since I've heard any of your
and like I don't never really consider myself as a dubstep producer, despite the fact when I was touring, I was playing a lot of those songs. But I was making what was essentially back in the day, 2010, 2012, would be considered lo-fi hip hop. And I was kind of sneaking those out and opening and closing sets. I was like putting them on mixtapes for free and dropping them for free on YouTube and SoundCloud and that kind of stuff. And then around the time Zelda and Chill came out, which turned out so good, but also was kind of an unexpected thing. I had taken that summer off touring for some medical shit. And I didn't have my normal block of September shows, which is like TwitchCon and PAX Prime, I think. And there's just a bunch of big shows that happen in September. I didn't have it. And Michael, at the time, with 10 followers on his Twitter, DMs me being like, hey, can you help me get out my Zelda tribute album? And I was like, oh, I can't like directly post it to Spotify, but let me listen to it. Maybe we could sign it. I'm free this month, and I'm not usually. And I listened to it. And I was like, oh, this is the kind of beats that I make. Cool. So I decided to master it, and we rebranded it Zelda and Chill, which is just like a name that popped into my head one day. And it blew up in a way that things had not blown up in many years. So like over the trajectory of Gamechops, there's actually been multiple eras of like smash hits that all like double the size of the label. So back in 2012, it was the Triforce of Bass, which didn't really double it. It kind of like created the label. And 2013, we had an album called World 1 2, which was a collaborator of mine who went to start his own label called Brave Wave. And they do awesome stuff like the Streets of Rage 4 soundtrack, which I think I have it right here. Yeah, I do. It's how.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
It's dope.
Is that directly with the company that made Streets of Rage 4?
It's got so many logos down here, but where's Brave? There's Brave Wave, and Generation Series is their brand for game sound.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. I don't know if you know, but I actually had Ben Faquette from Paris, who was the artist and the game developer for Streets of Rage 4.
Oh, that's awesame. Dude, that game turned out so good.
He is fantastic. He was great on the show, and I recently congratulated him because he's being nominated for a Game Award next week.
Oh, that's awesome. Dude, Streets of Rage 4 is so fun, too.
He was look, the minute I played that, I immediately reached out to him and was like, yeah, I got to talk to you, bro. He was, like, very nice. He actually, it's a funny story, he actually rode his bike to the studio to talk to me.
Oh, really?
From Paris, and they were going through a lot of COVID stuff back then. And it was just off the cuffs of the release of that game too. He's just been awesome. It was just, he deserves everything. And the team deserves everything. And Lizard Cube, they deserve everything they got. Everybody that was involved with it. It's just awesome.
Yeah, and I'm playing through on very hard mode right now too. I'm like really proud. I usually don't get that hardcore about it, but they give you incentives. At least you're unlocking new things. I know, I love it. Yeah, that's all I need. Yeah.
So, all right. Interesting question here. I actually asked a question to our A.C.M.G Facebook group just recently this morning, and in regards to like in terms of anime, comics, movies, and games, what form of entertainment was great? What was the best form of entertainment in 2020 for them? Many of them said gaming.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm thinking about that, and I'm thinking about you and what you do you credit gaming this year for helping your, all the attention that you've got? Because, movies have kind of declined because of COVID. Anime still kind of made a good deal. Comics, it's been, comics in terms of reading comics hasn't been as strong as it was since the 90s. But gaming has come up majorly. Do you think that, the gaming industry kind of helped, elevate what you guys have been doing for COVID?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Animal Crossing in particular. Not only did that rescue like 230 hours of my life, like legitimately, like that was a lifesaver, that game.
Yeah.
Because I'm a kind of person, if I don't currently have a game to play, like I kind of lose my head a little bit.
Guess what I was doing before this interview?
Oh yeah, I mean, I got over 200 hours, and I built something dumbass in my town, and I'm so ashamed of it that I just stopped playing. It's like I don't want to go and look at that stupid blue table with the white cat plushie and the piano next to it. It just doesn't look good. I should though. I should go back and like squint real hard and just clean up that area. I'll feel better about it. But yeah, and also in the Animal Crossing music, we did a bunch of remixes and covers,
which I'm sure helped a lot of people, because it's very arguable to say Animal Crossing may have possibly been the most important game of the year in terms of tranquility and therapeutic means.
I agree.
I think a lot of people, especially the introvert community, use that as a way to just have a calm nature. And I think psychologists recently like discovered that too. It did affect the election in some cases too.
Yeah, I hope so.
So it's really like it's an amazing thing, but like you really believe that it did help you in terms of like
well, if you're just talking statistically, like absolutely. I made a playlist called Animal Crossing and Chill, and I made that playlist not that we have one of those albums. We don't have a and chill album for Animal Crossing.
Right.
But I made the playlist.
Chill enough.
Yeah. But I made the playlist to combine like my favorite remixes from it, the tracks we were doing on Gamechops, and then the tracks from other producers and stuff. And that playlist now has over 30,000 followers. It's the biggest playlist I ever made, and it squashed Video Game Study Lounge, which I made like 7 years ago. Yeah. And Animal Crossing and Chill is less than 1 year old and has more. It has a bigger, like, it has 31,000 people save this playlist, and it's on their Spotify, and they can pop on these remixes at any time. So in terms of like the actual label and listenership, like, yes, absolutely. But then also because the game is so good, and like you said, tranquility and getting
the therapeutic aspect of it. Yeah,
it's great. So, I mean, I would say like a thank you Nintendo for Animal Crossing. I have my Animal Crossing Nalgene. I think I saw an Instagram ad for this, and I was like, yes, I will have that. But yeah, it's good. I mean, gaming had some ups and downs for sure. Yeah. But this year, Nintendo in particular has really come through for me.
Zoom and gaming, pretty much. Let me ask you this too. I mean, you were like going back to 2012 when you first started, like were there any doubts of you getting the publicity and acknowledgement that you were getting now? Like were there times when you were like just getting 100 hits and it was like, will this ever come to fruition, or did you already have that battle plan?
And when I was getting 100 plays, I felt like it was coming to fruition, honestly. I did not expect it to blow up in the way it has, no, but I'm not surprised that it has blown up because it's really good. And myself, I commit 100% to making shit as good as it can be. I do not own in anything. Yeah. Like sometimes there are deadlines. Yeah. Sometimes like you can't sit on anything any longer. Right. But I'm giving 100% to every song I work with, every artist that I work with, every musician, no matter where they are, what we're working on. Yeah. I'm giving it my full attention. And I think that that's rare. I'm kind of surprised. I think it's rare. I think a lot of labels...
From an artist standpoint, you mean, or...?
From a label standpoint.
From a label standpoint, okay.
Because, Gamechops is me, I have my producer, Ellie Rocks, on Twitter. She's great. Helps me with the back end, helps me with the metadata, helps me with our expenditures and our ledgers and the spreadsheets.
Absolutely. God bless her.
But, like, every album on Gamechops comes through this computer,
Yeah.
these ears, this speaker, this room, and I don't skimp on anything. So
Yeah.
I think that's why, even though Gamechops may not have the output of some other labels, you know,
Yeah.
big labels put out a lot of music, but everything we do put out, I personally stand behind because you know, I'm giving it my all. And like, yeah, some songs are weird, like, and they're going to be weird forever. And some people are weird, and I'm going to be weird forever. But I really think that a commitment to quality is what set Gamechops apart.
Yeah.
Because when I went into this, dude, I went to school for film. Whoops, right? I went to school for film thinking I was going to make movies because I had gone into college. I got accepted to college, and I had thought, man, I love movies. Every movie I've ever seen, I loved. I'm going to learn how to do this, and that'll be my life's passion. And within my first year of school, like my first freshman year, I like go back for Christmas time or something after my first semester at film school, and I went to go see a movie with my parents, and I didn't like it. And it was the first time in my life that I had gone to the movie theater and not like enjoyed it the whole time. And it was just like I had just gotten enough education to like break the magic of movies, but I didn't learn enough to like reappreciate it, you know, the way like an adult does.
Right.
That's when I started playing with music. It's just like I'm in film school, you know, I got to learn how to load the film cameras, I got to learn how to edit. And back in the day, we were still using film, we were still digital was like new and was only allowed, only the seniors got to do digital. We were like straight up filming stuff, and
the raw versus digital debate has been something I've been a part of for years.
Yeah,
I get
exactly.
it.
So music became like a fun outlet for me. It was like a creative outlet, and I would start making beats on GarageBand, and I moved to Reason, then I moved to Pro Tools, then I moved to Ableton, and now I do this Ableton Pro Tools combination setup. But I think, you know, going through school, learning how to make movies, and clearly, you know, I make the videos for the Gamechops YouTube channel, so like I am using some of my degree. It took me 11 years to pay off my 4 years of film school, but like I'm making YouTube videos now.
Don't even tell me about student loans right now.
Dude, it's brutal. It's brutal, but like I paid back my loans you know, after 11 years. I did have a day job, but the final loan payment was through royalties from my music. Like the final like one that I paid where no more school loans, which was like I think like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
It was not a day job. It was from like Spotify and Bandcamp and touring.
Wow.
So that was really great. But yeah, I think, you know, having the music thing as my creative outlet and like didn't have the academic pressure on music allowed me to sort of develop this mindset of a musician and producer who isn't like super hardened by music school. And by the way, I would love to go to music school and like learn how to play really well. But like I think the fact that I was coming in like just so passionate and like this is my hobby, this is the fun thing.
Yeah.
When I got a job as a part-time engineer in a recording studio, I was like less about getting the $7 an hour and more about like I'm just so excited to be working
to
with
learning.
music.
Yeah, exactly.
We're making movies is so hard. I was trying to like make cartoons and like I was making poster cartoons on Newgrounds, like submitting to film festivals and it wasn't really shaking out. Couldn't get any work. People loved the cartoon, but couldn't get any work. And then so I'm working this film job, right? The internship became a job after school. And my buddy, who is like a visual artist, has a Nintendo-themed art show where he's made a bunch of like Lego, like cheaps and like mushrooms and more. And he's like made a bunch of like sprite work with Legos and they put them on canvases and made this cool art show. And he was like, hey, I know you collect video game music and you've been working at the recording studio. Do you think you could figure out how to DJ and play some video game music at my art show? And I was like, all right, it's software, right? It can't be that hard to learn. So I like downloaded a trial of Ableton and I watched some tutorials back in like 2010 or 2009. So it was pretty rough. I figured out how to get a set together. Put together about 50 minutes of my own collection of video game music, played at my friend's art show. It's chaotic but fun. And then like after that show was over and I go home at the end of the night, I'm like, oh, I want to make another mix. That was fun. Now I have 50 minutes of my own curtailed favorite songs in order that I picked. Like that was great. And I like just got hooked on like making mixes. This was before it was even really gigging. I just wanted to put tracks in the order that sounded good and like play them front to back. So I did that for like a year or two and I was busking and playing on the street and stuff. And that led to gigs. And gigs led to tours. And the tours are where I met all of the other artists who were doing this too and realized, I should start a label with all these folks. Help everybody, you know, get their music out. And then also like as a DJ, I'll have a great pool of tracks to play. And so will all these other DJs. So yeah, that was really the foundation of stuff. And like I didn't go into Gamechops thinking this is going to be my business and I can't wait for it to pop off. It was like I was going into Gamechops and video game music because this is fun because my career like wasn't really going any well on the film.
I tell you what, I remember when the first interview I've ever done with you at what was it, the Mocha Cafe? Philomocha, yeah. When at your release party, and I interviewed you, and one of the things that always stuck by me, this is the moment I really respected what you did as an artist, is when you said it doesn't really matter about money. It's just about getting it out there and doing what you love, and the money will come eventually and stuff like that. And I'm like, this is the type of philosophy that I've been going by for so long that I keep telling people, like, you can't focus on funds when you're not if you're not having fun.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think like now we have an audience where Gamechops is a totally self-sustaining business. Like, I could leave Earth, I could vanish, and like all the artists would continue to get their royalty checks because all that stuff's set up.
Right.
Like all the producers and everything would continue to everything. The way I've set up the business is a lot of the payment stuff is all automated, so I'm not actually even having to touch anybody's money anymore. Right. I like the phrase, I don't want to take money, I want to make money. Like, I don't need artists. Like the old record label was about like sort of the artist going in debt to the label.
Yeah.
And if the music does really well, the label makes enough money that the artist starts to get paid.
Yeah.
And I thought that model is not so good.
It's an outdated model that a lot of companies of old do or have done or maybe still doing.
And the weird thing about it is like it just puts all the risk on the artist, basically. Yeah. It's all the business risk is on the artist because the label it's going to get it back everything that it spends if eventually.
Yeah.
So, and my dad was a musician, growing up in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. And I saw how like the people who are making the music are really not taken care of once the music's made, So when I started Gamechops, I was like, I don't want to do any of that stuff. I'm touring and I'm making some money playing shows. Why don't I just support myself with that? And then the label we'll just split it up on the back end. If I need to pay an artist $50 to draw something for album art, I'll just do that with this money I had from this gig. And eventually that song will make $50 back and we'll split up the money and I'll get that and I can use it for something else. And the artists will get that. They can pay their rent. They can eat food. And,
awesome.
And like the weird thing about it, I mean, I guess it's not weird. I mean, the label's just two people. It's me and Ellie. Yeah. So, there's enough royalties coming in to take care of both of us. I mean, Ellie mostly. I still put all the money back into the business.
Right.
But it's like some labels, they just have so many people on the back end. Like major labels having 4,000 employees or something. Let's see on Wikipedia, like 4,000 employees, 6,000 employees internationally. It's like, good Lord. Like, no wonder most artists are not getting paid. That business is so big.
It's so strained. Yeah, it's so strained out. Like, yeah.
But in the modern day, like anyone can go on DistroKid and put their song on Spotify. Like anybody can go on Bandcamp and sell it right to their fans. Like there are the options there. So when I started Gamechops, I didn't want to start a record label. I wanted to like find a way to boost the value of music. Yeah. And my thought is, why don't we outsource all the accounting stuff? Give me the maximum amount of time to spend on mastering, mix revisions, artist development, like all this kind of the fun, meaty stuff, the work involved in doing a record label. And then all that stuff that takes a lot of people, we'll just outsource and give it to Sounddrop, who will take care of the cover song licenses. We'll give it to DistroKid, who will take care of the Spotify, so it's such and such. Right. And it was that shift, rather than like trying to get investment funding and like build a classic record label, that has enabled me to sort of work on so much awesome music, like work on so many great records. Zelda and Chill, genre changing back in 2015. Undertale Remixed was a total groundbreaking record. Seems obscure now, but some of those tracks like still are blowing up every day. And that's what I love, was working with good artists on good projects. Yeah. So by outsourcing the money stuff, which like I have a great lawyer now, but my first lawyer said, I told him about this model, like I'm just going to take, I'm going to give the majority of the money to the artist, and I'm just going to pay for the bills with profits. And until we're making enough profits, I'm just going to put it in out of my money. And the first lawyer I said told me like, don't do that. And I was like, why? He's like, well, no, he didn't say don't do it. He said, you sure you want to do that? And I was like, yes, I do. I don't want to take money away from artists.
You're not thinking for yourself. You're thinking for everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. Because like holistically, that's what mattered to me, was having an entity that rules, that takes care of everybody. Because
damn near altruistically, I might say.
Yeah, but it's also like, for me, it just feels like that is how you get the best music. You don't get the best music by like tricking someone into recording 12 songs for you.
I tell you, I really wish that like some people that me and you have come across in our lives, as well as like my old, corporate office that I used to work for would have that type of philosophy, because that's how you do it. Like that's great morale. You know, when you do that, it inspires people to want to do more. And like,
and that's my.
I don't understand why people don't get that.
It's hard, man. I think that's what it is. I think it's hard to give a shit 24/7, and like that's the one thing that I feel like. I don't know. Maybe not for you. I think for some people, particularly folks who are like conditioned and raised through like a single pathway in life, it's hard. Like by mean like somebody who goes, from being good at math to getting an MBA and doing business stuff, who goes into the corporate world, who like achieves the ranks of VP. Like, I'm not mad at an executive for making like basic ass calls, because they're trained to make those calls. And there's a lot of things like we want to like work. Like I want SEPTA to keep the trolleys to keep running, and I don't want someone like me in charge of the schedule, because like because I'm going to do some crazy shit that might be weird. You might put out a bunch of dubstep songs in 2020.
The 13 and the 34 would just crash right now.
Yeah, exactly. So like there's definitely value over that. But in the arts, man, I think it's really important to take care of people, because that's how you get careers that last. And like, not to bring the conversation down a note, but like DJing is a kind of risky profession. Like DJs and touring artists tend to die young, and we lose a lot of really great talent very, very young, because my opinion are they are pushed too hard, or the pressure of the pressure of the size of the business surrounding an individual. I'm thinking about Avicii, who was just like so good and lost his life a couple years ago at like 21 years old or 22 years old. And even like people coming out being like, he knew we were going too hard. He tried to slow down, but the machine was so big pushing forward that it was too much to bear. And for me,
it's mentally it can kill you.
That's why it can literally kill you. Like
I said, the corporate office I had, that same pressure was in me like 2017, I believe, or I forgot when I left, but it was so much that I was like, I had to jet. I couldn't take it anymore. I didn't feel valued at all. And I knew my value enough, especially with everything that I was doing on the side of that, to know that it was time for me to go. After I talked to my wife, it was like, we agreed. It's like, I don't want to go out like that.
Yeah, exactly. And I was the same way. I had a corporate job for 3 or 4 years, an office job, where thankfully my direct supervisor like protected me just a little bit from that. Like I got yelled at a couple times for making Facebook posts during the day. I got yelled at for taking credit for like I edited this video that got showed to all these. Anyway, I edited a video. It was a big video in the corporation. All the important, wealthy people in charge of everything got to see it.
That sounds familiar.
And I posted on Facebook being like, I made this video for the executive board, and like no joke, and within like 8 minutes, like manager I usually never talked to me was at my desk being like, get in here. You can't take credit. You were billed on an hour and blah, 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 blah. And but I held it down, man. I held it down to that job for like close to 4 years, because it was easier than gigging in Philadelphia, frankly. it was a reliable paycheck, and it helped me start paying off my school loans. And really what it did is it gave me like a buffer time of like 3-4 years where I was just like figuring out what it was I was really going to excel at. I wasn't a super solid engineer at the time. I was still remixing and figuring out my sound. I was writing blogs. I was making mixes and putting them on SoundCloud. So no direct way to make money at that time. And I was like figuring myself out and cultivating what Cutman and what Gamechops would become. And I'm really grateful for that job, even though sometimes it made me want to drink at lunchtime because, whatever. But I'm also really grateful that I'm in a position where I can like wake up in the morning and sit right down at this chair and get on something that really,
hallelujah.
And clearly it really matters to other people too. I'm just so grateful everybody's listening to music. And frankly, man, if I could be like totally honest, what I'm the most grateful for is that my philosophy of giving a shit all the time seems to really work. Like, there's no secret here. Like, I can tell you what kind of speakers I have. I can tell you where I bought my wires. But like, when I'm mixing like in my own way, that anyone's going to have a different way to make music, to make art, to do their thing.
Yes.
But the only hard, fast rule that I've kept through this entire time, these whole 10 years, is care, give a shit all the time, and take care of the people you're working with. Like,
thank you.
I mean, you can't make everybody happy, that's for sure, but you can certainly consider the people that you're working with.
Yeah.
And in the corporate environment, that's a thing that they don't often do. They don't often consider what the other cogs in the machine. And like,
that is 100% spot on. I mean, I totally empathize. Like everything that you said, especially in terms of what you had to go through with that situation. I had a similar situation as well.
Yeah, man.
It's so crazy.
And we could talk all day about the root cause of it. I think it's like maybe it's the way the United States, you know, a cultural thing or something like that.
I think it is. I think it is. But before I even continue, I got 2 more questions for you. I know you got other things you got to do, but definitely I am so happy to have you on this show.
I'm so happy
finally.
to be on, man. It's great to talk to you. I feel like it's been like a decade since we've had a conversation.
It always is. I mean, we contact every so often via text and all that stuff. It's crazy because we live up the street, but COVID has really separated us on that front. Right? The whole craziness of this whole entire year has been insane, but we're gonna make it work for 2021, guaranteed.
Yes.
So, but 2 more questions for you, but
right.
And I'll let you in with the plugs and all this stuff, especially your plug for the CBS segment that you just did. That was awesome. But I mentioned at the beginning, you know, Xavier Woods. I don't know if you're a wrestling fan, but Xavier Woods.
I'm a fan of Xavier Woods. Though.
Exactly, from a gaming perspective.
Yeah.
But Xavier Woods,
from a human perspective, I just think I had an opportunity to meet him at a couple cons, and he is just an awesome guy.
I hear this a lot, especially from Mega Red as well. But you know, he mentioned. Remember, I told you years ago when I was working corporate, I texted you because I was listening to the CHRIS Jericho podcast.
And he plugs me.
And I'm listening to it. Xavier Woods is over there, and they're talking about who do you listen to music-wise. And lo and behold, I'm in my office listening to this, and who comes up like, well, I definitely recommend because I'm a gamer like that, or something to that drift that DJ CUTMAN. And I'm like, I stopped all my typing, everything I was doing. I'm like, you don't say. And from that point,
of worlds.
Right. And I was like, small freaking world. And I texted you about, like, are you aware that you're being plugged by like a WWE performer on one of the biggest podcasts out there in the wrestling industry right now?
Yeah, man. It was
like,
wild.
It's like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of like listeners right now.
I think I got about 5 or 6 new Twitter followers that day too.
I was like, holy crap, this is amazing. It's just like, this is why I'm so grateful, because of the people that I have surrounded myself with throughout the years and all these connections. I am so grateful to even like know that these things are happening, let alone, you know, getting a chance to work with you guys and with the music that I get to use for the show and all the stuff. But I digress. My question to you is, what was the biggest acknowledgement that you heard from in terms of celebrity status? Because that was pretty big for me.
Let me see. You know, I don't pay super close attention because I'm so in the process these days. But I got to meet Deadmau5 at TwitchCon a few years ago.
Wow.
And he was one of the big inspirations for me donning the helmet. Where is my helmet?
The infamous CUTMAN helmet.
I don't like
people
to
can
not
see
know where it is.
if our watchers can see, you can see the armor in the background.
Oh yeah, you can see that armor, right? Here, there you go.
The infamous armor. That thing is so. That's what I really
was
still
like. There. The helmet's down there. I don't know if you can, but beyond the turntable. Yo, this is hard. What I'm doing right now. Where is it? It's back there.
It's like a Where's Waldo segment right now.
I know. You can see the record, kind of.
Yeah, I do. But I mean, like,
you should have rehearsed this part.
Exactly. No, that's all good. But no,
but yeah, like, meeting Deadmau5 was very, very cool. The Xavier Woods plug, man, that was something. I mean, I talk about it in the CBS segment how I was playing on the street one day in 2010. I had packed my speakers into my cat carrier that had a mesh side and put a surge protector and extension cord in there. And I would take the cat carrier out, put it on the street, plug into like a municipal outlet with sit on it with my laptop on my lap and play like Chrono Trigger with rap beats over it and like proto lo-fi beats. Right. And I remember these, I didn't even explain it very well in the segment. I will give a little extra color here. Yeah. But these people came out of the Nice Bar in downtown Ithaca. They came out of, I think it's called Silky Jones. It was like kind of a fancier bar. And I think it was 2 couples. two men, two women come out, nice, like guys got suits on, women got like nice looking dresses on or whatever. And I'm playing Chrono Trigger music with like, hip hop beat 95 looping over it in Ableton.
Right.
And these fancy people coming out of the fanciest place within, on the commons where I was set up, come up to the little podium where I'm playing, and they dance around a Chrono Trigger, and and it plays, and I loop it for 2 minutes, and then they go to the pizza place or whatever. But it was those first 4 people that felt like the first sort of celebrity acknowledgement, which is like, I'm a scrappy 20-something, in a dirty sweatshirt sitting on top of my cat box trying to like just play beats outside because my roommates are sick of it. And here's some fancy looking upscale people getting down to Chrono Trigger music on the street, essentially.
Unbeknownst to them, maybe, who knows?
Who knows where they are now? But thanks for rocking out. They probably were blacked out. They may not even remember. But to me, that was really significant because it was somebody that I was not facilitating a response from. You play something for your friend, and they're like, "Hey, what is it?" And oh, it's great, and they still say that no matter what it is.
Yeah.
But just seeing a random stranger like get down, that was like very impactful, and that was a real mission when I was DJing. If you've seen me perform as Cutman, but when I'm DJing, I'm not all in the laptop. I'm looking at the crowd, and if people are dancing, I will change up my style 100%.
I think that is the awesome part about your performance too, in your set, is that
it's really a traditional DJ mentality. It's not like the producer mentality.
Very
it's
interactive.
Really yeah, it's because like I usually don't play my own beats when I DJ. At least for most of my touring, I was curtailing sets for the audience. So I play a big club, play club music, play a little bar, play pretty little things, or sus little dance music, whatever works out.
Right.
But yeah, for me, it's always been about playing a good set and playing to the crowd, and then seeing who sort of like approaches afterwards. So I remember some of the Rooster Teeth guys. I played a Screw Attack, SGC, and then it evolved into a new show, and I played 1 year in one of the higher up executive, I don't know if that's a con running kind of Rooster Teeth people. We're like, hey man, I really loved your set. And I was like, hey dude, I saw your face on the big poster of your face. It's like, wow, that's the guy. And for me, I mean, I've never been good at like naming celebrities or following sports or like keeping track of other humans. Like it's not a priority, but I can tell when somebody is also doing some high level stuff, and acknowledge that what I'm doing may be higher level than most. And like the XAVIER Woods plug, it came completely out of the blue, but it made me realize, oh, here's a guy who's got a really high performing job, is like performing athletically, probably at the top tier of all humans.
He has a PhD.
Just like everything about that job leads me to believe this is one of the most intense, dedicated people in the world.
Yeah. And
he's plugging me in 35 seconds on this big podcast because somebody just genuinely asked him, hey, what are you into? And he said, I'm into this guy doing this thing. And for me, that has been less about really changing my world. And I thought when I met Deadmau5, I thought my life was going to change. And you know what happened? It didn't. It didn't. I like met a dude, and that might be where we are conditioned as like the Americans. We think we make a link and like it's going to open up everything, but it like absolutely does not.
That is absolutely true.
It's not about like a handshake changing the life. It's like the bricks laying the bricks like leading up to that handshake.
That is, I totally agree. A lot of the people that I had the honor of meeting from my path here, and that's including like rather just taking pictures with Stan Lee to actually interviewing some of the people that I've been fans of. It becomes more than just a stepping stone type of thing but also you realize the human aspect of it, and it humbles you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's important to like stay hungry and stay humble. And that's kind of what I'm doing. I just want to keep doing good work, keep making good music.
Right.
And, there's some incredibly huge, successful, wonderfully talented Twitch streamers that use DJ CUTMAN or Gamechops music. There's some incredible talent, entertainers, actors, voice actors, like all these kind of people that do all these crazy high level creative jobs are listening to Gamechops music or DJ CUTMAN beats. And I'm just so grateful for it. But to me, it's less important about getting, a WWE superstar to hear my Shovel Knight remix, and more about me making music that is good enough that a WWE star is going to want to listen to it.
Yeah.
So that's what I try to stay focused on. And
you know what I hope too, and going back to him is because I don't know if you heard the news, but he, G4 is coming back. Yes, yeah. He is going to be hosting some things, and it will be really cool considering, certain connections with Mega Ran and everything, that they start supporting and looking out for you guys who are, keeping especially retro music alive.
Yeah,
I think it'll be an awesome thing.
I should send a demo to G4. That's a good idea.
Because here's the thing. G4 was known for celebrating gaming in all aspects. They had Tommy, what was it? Tommy
Talarico?
Yes. Yeah. Who was from the original host of Electro Playground. And
I knew him from, it's a Video Games Live? Was that his thing?
It was EP because he did it with
the guitar and the orchestra, right?
Yes. But he also did, he was into gaming music too, but they also celebrated, and they would celebrate different aspects of gaming. And I feel like, and I used to love the documentaries and stuff. So I'm like, there would be a no-brainer, especially in this day and age, because while they were gone as a network, you guys were there was no such thing as nerdcore or, chiptunes or any of that stuff leading up to this. There was no celebration of this from a lot of the cats that are out there now. And I think there's a whole culture that they need to cover in this whole case. So hopefully if this is the real G4 that we've been waiting for, that they would absolutely, or you guys pitch it over to them, on that measure.
That's such a good, I'm ready. G4, if you're watching, Cutman's ready. You hit me up.
We gotta push this interview out to many people as possible to bring this.
But yeah, man, I'm down. And my whole thing, and take comfort in the fact that my whole mission is making this music as good as possible. So it's as useful and both in a utilitarian sense, but also in like an emotional, personal sense, to anyone who finds any value of it. Me as a DJ, I do a ton of different styles, a ton of different genres. And the main through line is I'm just trying to make sure all the mixes sound good. I'm just trying to make sure that everything I make, even if it's some weird stuff, is interesting.
But that's art. That is art.
Yeah, man. It's my art. And sometimes sometimes it's not good to think about it too hard, just to enjoy it and move on. And at least with this year, with how crazy everything's been.
I just told a client of mine that exact same thing. Don't think too hard on what you're doing. Otherwise, it won't come out as good.
Yeah, time to review and to marinate on and think. But if you're working on something, just do the work and reflect when you're able, but just keep the momentum up. And that's been the mission of this year, is just keeping up the momentum. And now, finally, in December, I'm seeing the real result of keeping up momentum all year is that the stuff we're putting out now, Gamechops is putting out, is performing better than ever statistically, but also the comments I'm getting on like Zelda and Chill 2, for example, like go to Zelda and Chill 2 on YouTube. The comments are so heartfelt and so genuine. And like, I can just tell this music really truly means the world to a lot of people.
Right.
And it means the world to me. So that makes
it helped brighten my shows all the time, because I have it playing as background music while I'm doing while I'm talking in segments and everything. And I think it's absolutely evolved and elevated the show, and I can't thank you enough for that.
Oh, well, thanks for playing it, man. I appreciate that.
It not only play it, but I advertise you like on if you go on my my Instagram page, like your face is all on every single promotion that is on there.
All right.
With Gamechops website on there and everything too. So trust me, I got you.
That's awesome. I know you got me, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Bonus question and last question. Bonus question being, what is your number one game of 2020?
Hades.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not. Hades is so good, I can't even believe it. Like, I love Animal Crossing.
Let me stop you right there.
Yeah.
I don't know if also we talked about Streets of Rage. I've also had the creative director for Hades on here from Supergiant.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I also congratulated him because he's nominated for multiple awards. Great Casavan.
And the
awesome game.
Hades. Just escaped me. The composer for Hades, we played a show together. Darren Korb.
Is that right?
Yeah, he's great. He is an
that
awesome
whole entire Supergiant games is
together.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, Hades is just so good. I would say if I had him in my top 3, he'd probably be Hades number 1, Animal Crossing, New Horizons number 2 for the mental health benefits. Yeah, and then 3, I would probably say, did the Link's Awakening remake came out this year?
No, it came out last year, but somebody else mentioned on the A.C.M.G Facebook group too. It feels like it came out this year, but it was September of 2019.
Where is my Switch? I would just open up my Switch. But yeah.
Have you played Age of Calamity yet?
You know, I played the demo and I was like, I don't need to do this again. I played a lot of those Dynasty Warriors games, man. When I was growing up, every single one, I played them all.
It's funny that you said that too, because I mentioned when I reviewed that game that it was they used to be repetitive. Like I played the original Dynasty Warrior when it was a fighting game.
Yeah.
And then when the PlayStation 2 came out, they changed it to this format that they have it now.
Yeah.
But it started becoming redundant and repetitive after a while. But when they started taking the license from every other franchise, whether anime or video game, that's when they started changing up things.
Do you like it?
I would say I gave it an A because what happens is if you play Breath of the Wild,
I did.
and you know how religious that game was.
Yeah.
They took a lot of the elements that we loved about that game in terms of gameplay and the art style, of course, and just narrative. And they managed to still put it with the base being the Dynasty Warrior feel, but it's a little bit more action packed. It doesn't have the depth because they lack the open world aspect to it.
Yeah.
And the climate, features that it had where like you're in a cold area, you got to put on warm clothes and all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's just a fun version, a lot more fun version, but you do get the get to see what has happened 100 years prior to that.
Yeah,
whole thing.
I'm thinking I might just like.
And there's New Game Plus in there, so that was the one thing that I loved.
Oh, yeah, I might just watch the cutscenes, frankly, because
I think
if I want action, man, I'm going to play Hades all the time. That game is awesome. I've made it through a bunch of times, and I'm like doing the Pact of Punishment, the high difficulty stuff now, and it's.
How did you feel when you finally beat Hades? How was that feeling?
Dude, when this is a spoiler, I guess a little bit spoiler, but when you first make it to the Hades and it's like, you've made it to Earth or whatever, it says like, you're out, and then Hades is there, and Zagreus goes, oh, right. It's like, oh, yeah, of course I'm going to have to fight the guy on the box. Like, yeah.
I'd rather fight Hades than fight the dog.
Yeah, it's so cute how they never make you fight the dog. That's
exactly.
Really
I made sure I took care of that dog as much as possible.
Yeah. So dude, frankly, I think I had the reaction that many people did is when I first beat Hades, I was just ready. I just jumped right back in and started another run. Yeah,
it's so ongoing. It's brilliantly done. I look, Greg and that team deserve all of the nominations and accolades that they get this year. It's just been so awesome. So my final question.
Yeah.
As we finally end this year, what exactly are you hoping for to establish and accomplish in 2021?
Oh, man, you know what I would really love to happen next year is I have a side project called Bird Boy. It's basically DJ CUTMAN, but with bird calls instead of like video game songs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're like, it's kind of like lo-fi beats, but I'm going in with like this high concept of I find a particular species of bird. I learn about its behaviors. I learn about like where it sleeps and how it flies, and I watch videos of it. I get recordings of its sound from this place called the Macaulay Library up at Cornell in upstate New York, where my wife got her undergrad, and she pointed me on. So they have this huge library of bird sounds. So I pick a bird species. Let's say the black-capped chickadee, the little black bird with the little white bird's back head.
Right.
Anyway, I find the bird. I get these high-quality recordings of their calls, and then I bring it into Ableton and I kind of do a musical analysis of if this bird was singing, what key would it be in? Once I figure that out, I like compose a composition that would fit the chirping of the bird, and then I use Ableton to like adjust and edit everything. So it actually, I turn the bird into like kind of like a vocalist almost.
This is like Stevie Wonder level like stuff.
It's like it's definitely high concept. Like it's not like a DJ CUTMAN beat where I was like, oh yeah, Mega Man title select screen. Let's make that into a trap banger.
Right.
It's like, what kind of beat would a black-capped chickadee be? You know, what kind of chords fit a robin? And all it's like way more like out there. But the fact that it's like so weird and so the production is like pretty much like I'm using the same programs. Yeah. But the concept is so far removed from the video game world.
But you're utilizing it in such a way, it's going to be, it could be awesome.
It's it's a super refreshing project to work on because it's making me think about my sounds in an entirely different way. Because you listen to DJ CUTMAN beats, like there's a triangle wave or a square wave in all those things. Yeah. And they're really built around like holding onto this like old synth, hard chip kind of sound. Right. So Bird Boy, which there are 3 songs out, you could just like go to the handle on Instagram and Twitter is Bird Boy Beats. And you can search up Bird Boy Beats. There's a link to the Spotify and Apple Music and stuff. And there's 3 songs out already. But I would love to do a whole album of that because I'm doing it on my MPC, which you see right back here. He's sleeping right now.
Beauty.
But I'm doing it all MPC until the very end. So the beat itself they feel really organic and fun. And it's just, it's a way for me to get out of my head because I'm going to love video game music forever. Gamechops is probably going to run for 100 years. DJ Cutman, I'll be DJ Cutman until my final days. But having something that's like just totally different has it's been, one, a really fun exercise for me as a producer, but two, when I cut back into the game stuff, it's like, oh yeah, I miss Zelda music.
Sometimes you got to step back to get to appreciate it when you get back.
So next year, I would love to see Bird Boy take flight. Sorry for that pun there. So I'd love to see more stuff from Bird Boy, and for me as an artist, I just think that, oh yeah, that's it. It's the growth of my personal artistry. So Bird Boy is one example, but I'm also, it's kind of nerdy. I'm taking piano lessons. I'm an adult student, learning how to play the piano. I have been jamming my whole life, but now I'm like going through this like grade school level music book. Or my teacher says I'm like 6th or 7th grade.
Right.
Wait
a minute, you have a music teacher right now?
Yeah, I can take.
It's not
Zoom
the person that's up in Baltimore Ave, is it?
She did used to be up past 52nd Street, but she moved.
Yeah, because there's a one like right near us, like right up the street, right 50 what is it? 46
really?
in Baltimore Ave.
Well, I got a great teacher. She used to live up just back beyond Malcolm X Park, but she moved, and now we're doing all the lessons over Zoom. But being able to like read a sheet of music is something like I played alto sax in concert band in high school, but I never knew how to read a whole piece of piano music. And I know that the piano is like the instrument that can encompass, like it can fit in like any style. So I'm hoping to like become a little bit of a better musician through the lens of these traditional piano lessons that I'm taking.
Right.
Because Bird Boy is the first example where I'm like building chords and melodies based around something that is not intrinsically music, bird calls. Yeah. So I'm just, trying to like buff up my musicianship as much as I can.
As you should.
Because I really feel like I got the mixing stuff down, and I certainly know how to collab and engineer. But I would love to be able to like have more original music. Actually, this is a great segue for my plug. This Friday, in just a couple days, I have my first all original album coming out, DJ Cutman album, called Free to Stream. It is both free to stream on people's streams and YouTube, but it's also like about a free stream of consciousness. It's like these are beats that I made with no preconceived ideas, just pure creativeness, like pure creative stream of consciousness. But they're all DJ Cutman, so they have that DJ Cutman kind of sound and style.
Your signature, yeah.
Yeah. So Free to Stream is out on Friday, and then I'm running and gunning to have DJ Cutman Volume 5, which I know everyone's been waiting for years and years and years. It's like 20 beats over the past 4 years that have never gotten like real proper releases. Yeah. That should come out by the end of the year. So DJ Cutman's finally, it's been a long time since I put out music for my own self, but over this past month, I finished up Free to Stream, and I got that shipped. It's coming out on Friday. I'm getting to the finish line with DJ Cutman Volume 5, and then I'm even tidying up all of my like dance tracks for a third album called Turbo Mode, which will probably come out in January. So DJ Cutman's got a lot of music finally coming out, even though for like the past 3 years I've basically just been 24/7 Gamechops. So follow if you're not following me already and you like this kind of music, it's like hit a follow on Spotify is the most effective way to get tuned in. But Apple Music and Deezer and Tidal and all those places. Apple Music's been actually giving me a hard time lately.
Really?
yeah, they were really strict about title formatting. I think they actually rejected Free to Stream, even though most of the songs are already out. They wouldn't take the album. I don't know. It's this.
Everybody has their own stipulations. It sucks.
Spotify has been really good to me though. So if you hear anybody out there being like Spotify's mean, they're real nice to your boy Cutman.
Hey, they let me air my show on there, so they go me.
Yes. Awesome. Yeah. So I mean, for next year, I'm just stoked. It's been a weird wild ride, but we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it out of this year. And,
indeed, and I am happy. Like I said, I couldn't be more happier and honored and humbled to be. Have you guys like you and Mega Ran and K Murdoch and all of you guys coming in my road to help me get through my journey here doing what I'm doing as like both a designer and a podcaster now.
Yeah, dude, the honor's mine, man. It's so great to talk to you, and I appreciate you having me on and getting to talk. My cat is meowing like she's hungry.
Hey, I missed that cat.
Are you gonna see the cat?
Yeah, I want to see the cat. It's been a while.
Whoa.
Yeah. Look at you all grown.
This is the real content. Yeah, she's big now.
Oh my God, you're grown.
And say hi. There she is. There's the thumbnail for you.
Exactly.
Right. Well, thanks, Dax. I appreciate your time, man.
Awesome.
And yeah, if you need to hit me up or you want to, if you watch this interview, you like what I've been talking about, you can follow me at Video Game DJ on Twitter and Instagram, and DJ CUTMAN on YouTube.
And of course, Gamechops.music.gamechops.com, of course.
Yeah, yes. Gamechops.com, we actually redid the whole website. So you can just go to Gamechops.com, and it's a real nice site now, I promise. Most of the pages are working.
That's awesome. Chris, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this very special episode with myself and DJ CUTMAN. On behalf of myself and DJ CUTMAN, all I got to say is learn to let go, live life, and love all things anime, comics, movies, and games. This is A.C.M.G presents Talk Time Live. We are out of here. Philly is out.